Every time I think to myself, there's no way he can do something worse than this. What a terrible sinner. Um, Talk about someone who doesn't know, like preach the gospel. Donald Trump finds another way to leave me awestruck. I thought the spat he was having with Pope Francis last year, before all of this even was going down, was absurd in and of itself. But no, he has one upped himself again. If you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, very recently he has been arguing with the new pope, the American pope, Pope Leo, over Iran. Trump has called him weak on crime, which I don't know, man. Read your book. The Bible. Like, what does it tell us? Is it telling us to be punitive? No, it's telling us to like love and forgive each other. I don't know. I like preposterous. He's also been saying how the Pope is too liberal or too much of a radical leftist, which is also another ridiculous thing because, and I know that Trump isn't Catholic, so he doesn't believe this. We will get to JD Vance. We will get to JD Vance because he has been saying some out of pocket stuff too. But this is someone who has studied theology all their life. Pope Leo doesn't come to these decisions all willy nilly, and he doesn't go, "Where's the wind blowing today?" No, like this is something that is like very deep seated. I don't know how long he went to school for, but I'm familiar with that. A lot of the clergy have to go to school for years, if not decades, to constantly study on scripture and stuff like that. Trump grew this outrage even more when he decided, oh, you know what? I'm gonna post myself as Jesus. That's going to like land very well with my deeply religious base. Spoiler alert: it did not. It did not. He's holy moly. The picture of himself as an AI Jesus healing someone who looks suspiciously a lot like Jeffrey Epstein has garnered a lot of outrage, and it seems to be waking up some of his religious base who have thought, oh, this might actually be a little too far. I could forgive, the pedophilia, the separation of families and all that stuff, but calling yourself Jesus, whoa, come on, let's slow it down here. Which better late than never. This does actually lead me to the next point, which is JD Vance. For those of you who do not know, JD Vance is Catholic. He is an adult convert, which I didn't know people did that. You know, cool, good for him, I guess. He doesn't seem to be a very good convert based on what he's saying. He was at a Turning Point USA event where he was like, "Oh, the Pope needs to be careful about what he says about theology." Which, if you were raised Catholic like me, that is a ridiculous thing to say. I was raised personally. The way I was explained to me is the Pope basically has a direct line to God. So telling the Pope, who the truth is a little bit more muddled than that, but he does have the final say when it comes to anything that involves the Catholic religion. So to tell him that it's like, oh, you need to, I know I just became a Catholic the other day, but like you need to lock in is ridiculous. Like what are we doing? If I became a Hindu one day and I'm like, what, I'm converting to Hinduism, let's do this. My fellow Hindus, I don't know what's up with all this not eating beef. Like I want to eat a hamburger. Come on, let's you guys need to lock in. Come on, what are we doing? That's ridiculous. And that's basically what he's doing. This isn't something new for the church either. The Catholic Church has always been pretty against war. They generally condemn, or maybe condemn is too hard of a word for the church, but the only sort of acceptable war is a defensive war for them. So a war that was started by Donald Trump and JD Vance is not going to be a war that is going to be okay with them. This isn't because, Pope Leo has it out. He has some personal beef with JD Vance and Donald Trump. They're just following their rules. It's something that I saw online that I think kind of makes a lot of sense as to why these idiots think that it's okay to uh, go, tit for tat with the Pope of all people, is because they are so grossly unqualified and they have such a high position. They must think that it's okay. Like they must think it's normal for other people in like such high positions to also be equally unqualified. Trump obviously had no business in politics until he got in 10 years ago. And Vance, I think, had even less experience. I think he was a senator for like a couple years before he became VP. So I must assume that they also think that like, oh, everyone doesn't know what they're doing because I don't know what I'm doing. So it's okay for me to argue with like people that like are in high positions of power. Tangentially, I don't know if you guys heard about the peak Hegseth thing. He another person who's deeply religious, not a Catholic, I think, but he has like his crusader tattoos and stuff. Yeah, he was quoting Pulp Fiction because he thought he was quoting the Bible. In Pulp Fiction, Jules, Samuel Jackson's character, gives like this whole like monologue about like a very like long Bible verse. The verse in reality is actually way shorter, but in a speech, Pete Hegseth gives the Pulp Fiction version uh of the verse, and now everyone's clowning on him because it's like, what are you doing? You know, I thought you were the big religious guy. You know, you had your tattoos and everything about religion. And I mean, I think for all these people, religion is kind of just like a LARP for them. They don't really believe it. They see it as a convenient thing because it's going to help them get it, deep inroads with the large Protestant group that votes here in the United States of America. Bringing it back to Trump, though, and the reason that I'm making this video, I was just completely shocked. Donald Trump cut $11 million of funding from Catholic Charities. I can't believe that. I Every time that I feel like he's done something so terrible, he's okay with doing like just something even worse. I was raised Catholic. Not like a super big practicer of the faith or anything, but I do like religion, especially when it comes to these sorts of things. I think charity is one of the best things that religion does. You know, I think there's a lot of bigotry that happens that people like to masquerade behind their religion to promote their ideology. But when it comes to charities, I do think that this is one of the best things that it does. Between that and like giving people like a sense of belonging and like of community is like the most noble stuff I think the church does. So for Trump to do things like that, I genuinely feel like I'm at a loss for words here. From what I've read, a lot of these charities that he's yanking money from are in Florida, which just is, you know, a twist in the knife for all the people that voted for him since Florida swung so hard for him, especially because a lot of the charity work that he seems to have pulled from were charities that helped young kids who came here from a different country. It just really sucks knowing that a lot of these young unaccompanied minors that were benefiting from this charity are going to have to suffer alone now. And it especially sucks because you know, I must presume that the majority of these kids were probably Cubans, and to know that the Cuban population swung so hard for Trump when they voted for him, only to hurt, you know, people who were very much in their shoes when they came to this country 20, 30, 40 years ago. I'll try to see, I know YouTube has charities that one can donate to. I don't know how any of that stuff works. I'll look into see if it's possible. I might need to have like my channel monetized or something, but if not, I'll try to throw a link at the bottom of the description to see if there's any charities that are accepting donations right now. Because like I said, I do believe charity is one of the better things that the church does. And to see that the funding is being pulled like this for such a petty, vindictive reason, what a cruel like tyrant that this man is. So petty and callous. But yeah, that's all I have. Like I said, I'll throw a link at the bottom of the description. Hopefully, I know I've seen it before in other YouTube videos. My channel probably isn't big enough to set something up like that, but if it is possible, I'll definitely try to integrate that as well. Please take care of yourselves, like always.